Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode.
In today's episode, I was joined by Patriots fan and host of the Irish NFL show, Shane Brennan, as we preview the AFC Championship Game. Shane looks at the coaching battle between the Broncos and the Patriots.
So that's actually what I think could be the real difference maker here, because of how well he's worked with the team, because of what he gets out of his players.
And I question whether this is the easiest run to a Super Bowl in history.
The run to the Super Bowl for the Patriots, I've got to ask, is this the easiest run in history? Because
hope you all enjoy.
hello everyone, and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, and we are here to preview the AFC Championship as the Denver Broncos host the New England Patriots. And with me today, I've got a returning guest who is also a Patriots fan. He is the lead host of the Irish NFL show and also a writer for the Irish Independent and also a part of the Pat Powell's podcast, which is a podcast he does with fellow guest and fellow friend of the show, Sky Pank. We have today Shane Brennan. Shane, how are you? How have you been?
Andy, great to see you. I actually can't believe I'm sitting here talking about the Patriots going into an AFC Championship game. And furthermore, I can't believe that even though you mentioned Pat's Pals, something that myself and Sky love doing, we haven't been able to do it because we keep not being lined up to do any recordings. And I thought we would have a great chance to do an episode following Patriots Houston this week, but he ends up shagging off to Boston to actually watch the game himself in person, in the snow, surrounded by Foxborough fans. But the word is that the electricity, not even the electricity of the 2010s, the electricity of the 2000s when Mike Vrabel was a player, is back in Foxborough. And as somebody who is a former Boston resident and a Boston sports fan, it's definitely a fun time.
Absolutely. I remember watching the scenes of Mike Vrabel celebrating the win, and with the crazy conditions you had, it reminds me a lot of that first Super Bowl you had with obviously the tuck rule game in the divisional round in the snow. I just felt like, I could just picture this scene of I was watching Mike Vrabel celebrating. It just reminded me a lot of those early clips of Belichick celebrating in the snow when he beat the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, it even like you just think about just the history of the Foxborough playoff games. What was the first game that Tom Brady built up as Zora? It was the snow game against an AFC West team. At home, the tuck rule. Drake May, very different circumstances, but the snow is still falling. He's still playing against a really, really tough defense in the form of the Houston Texans. And it wasn't quite a kick that got it done. It was a great pass in right inside the Keyshawn Booty. But yeah, it's moments like this which sort of build a sense of aura. I don't want to look too far ahead into the future as to whether that will just affect the way that people, or Drake May himself certainly carries himself going into the future. But in terms of his playoffs and only his second year as an NFL quarterback, it's amazing just how far he's progressed. But at the same time, the quality of defense that he's played has been remarkable. He's the first quarterback since Cam Newton to face 3 top 5 level NFL defenses in the same playoffs in 2015, and no quarterback in history has beaten 3 of those. In that situation with Cam Newton, he went to Super Bowl 50 against the Broncos and didn't get the job done. And we're certainly hoping that on the road to Super Bowl 60, Drake May goes into Mile High and gets it done.
And of course, you mentioned Super Bowl 60. Of course, you're going to be there as part of the Irish NFL show. How excited are you for that? Not just because of the fact that it is, you're covering a Super Bowl, you're going to be in San Francisco. Hopefully, we're hoping warm weather as well. But also the chance that, we are looking one step ahead potentially, but the chance that, you could be there interviewing your team's players prior to the game, watching them in a Super Bowl in person, because you will be in the press box as well for the game. Because, you think about last year, you got to interview the likes of, Gronkowski and Edelman, 2 former Patriots players. And, we were, I don't know whether you were there with us when Gronkowski walked past us through security on the day of the game. But how excited are you for that is the fact that, you are going to be not just covering the Super Bowl, but also potentially your team as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're living in a golden age of American football, especially when it comes to international American football. And the idea that the Irish NFL show will have a table on Radio Row, that we've been able to pull all of this together is remarkable. The fact that I work for a newspaper who are keen for me to keep writing about American football every week and want me to do so is incredible. And the opportunities that come with that, I'm incredibly grateful for. I'm really excited just because, well, any chance to get close to the world of the NFL and American football is just really exciting, even if it is a London game between, that involves the New York Jets or the Cleveland Browns. It's still an incredible day out, and it's an incredible experience to be up close to a situation like that. But last year, my first Super Bowl in New Orleans, and obviously you were there, you've seen it, is in just the nature of how the week works is incredible to experience, especially as a sports journalist who's used to the way things are done on this side of the Atlantic. It's how much media exposure players get is remarkable, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's done in San Francisco. And it's my first time also on the West Coast. It's going to be a good crack. And look, if it is the New England Patriots playing, it's extra gravy. And as well as that, the Patriots are a team who are well followed in Ireland. So from a journalistic point of view, it means that it's easier to write about as well, because people are familiar with the story of the franchise. But I'm still struggling to, like, I believe that I am going to San Francisco. I believe that I am going to be in a Super Bowl, and I believe the Patriots might be in it. I can't believe that all three are happening at the same time. You know what I mean? It's still, and again, I don't want to jump ahead here. Even if it is the Broncos, it's going to be an incredible day. Team that always brings so much color. Great fan base. Great to be up close with them. Whoever wins the NFC, going to bring a great fan base. Going to bring the better team to the field. Great to get up close with those coaches and everything else. So it's the entire experience is something which I'm going to be looking forward to. And yeah, it should be great. Great to see you along. You come to Alcatraz, by the way. I think I might book tickets for that later on in the week. I hope you don't get seasick or anything.
No, I mean, I used to get seasick as a child. I used to get really bad travel sickness. I remember I literally was on a school trip, a 15-minute bus journey from the school to this castle, and I was sick in the car, and I had terrible seasickness. I remember as a child went on a ferry to France. I can't remember where in France, but we went as a family, and the whole ferry, I was just horrendously ill, horrendously seasick. But then fast forward to like 2017, went on a boat for the first time since, and I was fine. And ever since then, I even worked on a boat party in Zante back in the day in my youth. Which not
where?
Really in Zante. I used to work.
Where is that?
It's like it's almost like it's a bit like a Magaluf, but like Ibiza in terms of like a bit of a party island. So I went to work as a ticket rep back in the day for a boat party, which is I think the fact that I don't drink anymore probably feels a bit alien compared to how I behave now. But in my youth, I remember, being on there, working on a boat party, being absolutely fine on a boat. So, I'm hoping I've done Alcatraz before, to be fair, so I was fine on that. So, hopefully there wouldn't be. I think when I went there last time, there was loads of moths. Like there was some sort of moth epidemic hanging around Alcatraz. Everywhere you walk, there was a moth flying around you. But
it goes from being a home for people in the mob to being a home for all these moths. It is. Upgraded from Al Capone to all these insects. It's a completely different vibe.
Yeah, but it's an amazing experience. Now I'm looking forward to to seeing it again. And I'm provided no flight issues. Hoping to be there. Hopefully on time. As I've mentioned it before on the show, hoping to watch the Warriors play that night. Depending on if the flight gets there on time. If it's late, then I'm buggered. But if I get there on time,
which Warriors game?
It's not the Sixers one, it's the Pistons one. They play the Pistons 4 hours after I land, but there's a half an hour drive from the airport to my hotel, then a half an hour drive from the hotel to the stadium. So hopefully,
you're nuts. You're nuts.
I got to see him play.
I just bought tickets to the the game on Tuesday night and be done with it, because at least I know I'm there. I'm chilling now. And I suppose I think I don't know if that's just the case in the game I'm going to, whether it's going to be the case in Detroit as well. There's going to be free hats given away on the night. I think to celebrate Black History Month. I think so. If you want free merch, I'm sure there'll be some in the Chase Center.
Well, I remember when I went there for a game last time. Not only did I get a free NBA play-in tournament, it wasn't playing. It was the NBA Cup going on at the time. I had a T-shirt on that, but also I got like a Lego set from when I walked into the stadium. They just gave everyone Lego sets, which was no, it was a jigsaw, not Lego. My bad.
I was gonna say, but I mean, either way, that's still pretty impressive. Like a joke, you get to put the piece together, the wooden floor, so they could all just play basketball. One giant jigsaw wooden floor that for the hardcourt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was of the trams in San Francisco with Steph Curry just hanging off the back of it. I think I've not actually done it yet. I got it 3 years ago. I've not actually assembled this jigsaw yet, but it's I think it's like a cable car in San Francisco with Steph Curry hanging off the edge of it. I think that's what it was. But when I went for a game last time, there was a fight a minute into the game, so I don't think I'm going to get quite as a good start as that.
That's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing you're supposed to get in ice hockey games, not basketball.
yeah. I think I felt like I'm watching the wrong sport, but no, I can't wait for all of that. And I kind of do want to I don't want to buy a ticket and then be like, oh well, I can't use it now, so I'm going to just buy it online when I land in the airport and I get through airport security. I'm good to go then. I'll bring my jersey with me. I'm hoping to go to that game as well, the Sixers game, because that is two good teams. Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, obviously other players. I think Butler's just torn his ACL, so he'll probably be playing in that game. But you think about Tyrone Maxey and all the players that the Sixers have. It should be a good game. I'm just hoping it doesn't fall on media night. That's my only thing.
I have a funny feeling it won't, because I think the Pro Bowl is on Tuesday night. So that's what I'm betting on anyway.
That's going on. It's not going on. It's going like inside Radio Row or inside a convention center. It's not. I don't think it's happening in a stadium. I think it's happening in
it's happening. It's happening in the Moscone Center, which is where all the Radio Row media stuff is. So the Moscone Center is where Radio Row is. That's in downtown San Francisco. So it's nowhere near where the stadium is, which is hilarious. Like people forget, like, just the geography of San Francisco. It's almost like this one weird oval. So like where the stadium is way, 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 way from the San Francisco everybody thinks of when you think of a postcard of like the Golden Gate Bridge and the Transamerica Tower and all this kind of thing. Like where the Niners play is miles out. It's like an hour.
Yeah, I think it took us an hour and a half to get via public transport to get from where we were in the main sort of downtown area of San Fran to Levi's. I think it was actually quite a nice journey. You got to see a bit of Oakland. You saw some nice parts of that sort of area of the West Coast. It just takes a bit of time, but that's something I would probably recommend to people who are ever going to a game in the regular season, or if you are going to the game in the Super Bowl. Don't know how crazy it'll be in terms of how busy it'll be on the subway, but I think certainly there has to be some. I think in terms of the media part, there has to be some sort of bus or mini bus or way to get there, because I think they can't expect all the media staff.
Helicopters. Have we not earned helicopters to bring us down on the Monday? Surely a helicopter, speedboat down San Francisco Bay, a Hummer limo with champagne and Cocoa Pops in the back, the full whack, whatever you want. And that's surely we're the international superstars. That's of course. I'm making it seem far more glamorous than it is. Although it's still going to be quite fun either way.
I mean, yeah, speedboat would be that would certainly be an insane way to enter a stadium or enter a media room. That would be just something else.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the stuff. The baseball stadium in San Francisco. It's kind of like goes out against the bay. And people are always there in kayaks. We just like nick a couple of kayaks and see if we can make our way down from there. That'll probably take about 10 hours. But might be we can see like Stanford, a few other places like that. Could be a heavy work afternoon.
Absolutely. But of course, that is all to come in the next few weeks. We've still got 2 games to look forward to. We are going to bring you our Rams against Seahawks preview later on in the week with some returning guests who did appear earlier in the playoffs. But this game is the Denver Broncos against the New England Patriots. It's the first seed against the second seed. The New England Patriots go into it as a road team, but not only does your quarterback have an MVP chance or chance of winning MVP, but also it's been helped by the news that came out shortly after the game ended between the Broncos and the Bills that Bo Nix is out for the season. So you're going to be getting a former Patriot lining up against you under centre, one of Jarrett Stidham. I mean, first of all, I want to get your thoughts on Bo Nix, because that is just horrendously gut-wrenching for him. If I know I talked about it in the last show about how Carson Wentz said in an interview he'd want to trade lives with Nick Foles for a day. Obviously, if they were to make it, that'll be even more heartbreaking for him. But I want to get your thoughts on that, but also just how, as a Patriots fan going into this game, the fact that you are playing a backup, that must fill you with so much confidence going into this game.
Yeah, I think the side is on Bo Nix. Look, no fan who is a true fan of the sport wants to see any of the game's top players be removed from it. I mean, just this spectacle in itself has completely changed complexion in terms of how we talk about it, the build-up, the anticipation, the amount of times that people come out and said to me and said it's either some form of foregone conclusion. You look at the betting lines and all of them have the Patriots as favorites, even though they're going to the Mile High Stadium where Denver are 8-1 for the season. It's such a significant blow. So I do feel sorry for Bo Nix there. But who I don't feel sorry for, however, is the Denver Broncos, because there's two areas where they have not adequately prepared for this situation. Firstly, the Denver Broncos are the only team in the National Football League to have not given a single snap to any of their backup quarterbacks in the 2025 season. They're also the only team in the National Football League to have not done so in the 2024 season, for the 2 years of the Bo Nix era. I can understand why they want to try and give Bo Nix as much snaps as possible, but they're the only team to have not given Stidham or any other backup any opportunity to play on the field. You can do as much reps in training as you want, but it's not the same as game day situation. It just isn't, because you're facing against an actual defense that actually wants to kill you, as opposed to what happens in training when people are obviously going to lay off the gas because you don't want to injure your own players. But more frustrating, I think, for Broncos fans is the fact that there's a lack of a run game, which meant that a passing game which was messy and inconsistent, but yet delivered in right moments. In fairness to Sean Payton in particular, that's the basis of the offense. But the run game we saw last week against Buffalo was very ineffective. You can't look at Denver's depth chart and look at RJ Harvey, as being he's not going to carry the team. He's not the kind of person to do that. I know obviously they lost J.K. Dobbins and he's on injury reserve, and there's other things going against the Broncos right now in terms of injuries, particularly when it comes to the fitness of Pat Bryant and Joey Franklin. But I don't know. I mean, it just feels like a situation which could have been avoided. You're a Dolphins fan. You see how the Dolphins are affected because they haven't planned adequately for when Tua is not fit, because there's no backup option. Or the whole offense is completely just not running kilter when the main man in the center is not running it. Compared to what you see, for example, in San Francisco, when Brock Purdy can come out and Mac Jones can play some really, really sweet stuff. That's a well-run organization that's able to foresee these issues. And I understand people look at this and say, why are we talking about Bo Nix being out? This isn't as if, let's say, for example, the Bills won, but Josh Allen broke his ankle in the last play. That would be beyond crippling for the Bills offense if we were looking at that situation. You look at Bo Nix and say, well, is he a game changer or a game manager? He's a game manager more than a game changer. So does that affect how you look at this game? But at the same time, he's able to pull off some sweet throws. He knows the offense. He knows the situation. And in an AFC Championship game against the Patriots defense, who are on form right now, confidence isn't the word. I mean, I don't want to be complacent. And I know I've been speaking about this game so much this week in a podcast I've just done recently, and then already in this show, I've spoken as if the Patriots are already there. And of course they aren't. They really aren't. I mean, look at how bad the offensive line played against the Houston defense, and this Denver defense is still a unbelievably good defense to play against. We're in altitude. The fans are going to be a key factor. They know they have to, everybody else knows they have to step it up in the absence of Bo Nix, because they've had an entire week to plan for the absence of Bo Nix, as opposed to what would happen if Bo Nix went out in the second quarter against the Patriots. So this isn't as easy, I think, as many people in Patriots world are expecting to be, just by virtue of the fact that Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback. But you have to say that the Broncos are not adequately prepared for a situation where Bo Nix would get injured. They just don't seem to have any proper plan B. As much as Jarrett Stidham seems to be liked by his coaching team, I feel like how much the public are hearing about how much they like Jarrett Stidham is probably a cover for you're trying to be overly confident to cover for the fact that you're in a pretty shitty situation.
Yeah, you make a good point about having a plan B, and I think we've seen it with, you mentioned then Mac Jones, but I think the other one I could think of is Malik Willis. I mean, he come in multiple times for Jordan Love, and he's looked at times, just as good a quarterback. I remember the game against the Bears. Obviously, they lost that game, and the Bears came back. But Malik Willis, start of last season, the first few games after Love got injured in Brazil, you saw Malik Willis. I think he won. He either went 2-0 or 2-1, and he had a really good spell as the backup. And you see, going back to the Dolphins, likes of Skylar Thompson come in, or I think they had Teddy Bridgewater at one point. I can't think of the guy who's gone on Brissett's come in, and they've all looked terrible. And I'm not saying Tua has been the answer to it. Has been very much a mid-tier quarterback in the NFL, but you can see the difference when your backup isn't there. But I think also you see a difference when you have good coaching, because Malik Willis, Mac Jones had a good rookie year but struggled after that, and Malik Willis struggled in Tennessee. But they go to a team with good coaching, with good schemes around them, and they find a way to do it. So I think that should give Broncos fans confidence. The fact that Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in the league for that. He helped turn around Drew Brees into from an injury hit. Some are calling a bust at the Chargers, or at least the injury hit was the main narrative I read about when he was at the Chargers, and then goes on to the Saints with Sean Payton, and goes on to have a Hall of Fame career, and he'll be a certain lock for this year's Hall of Fame class. So I think that should give Broncos fans confidence. But I still think that as Patriots fans, even with that defense, you think about, I think Nick Bolito has been, for me, the star of that defense. I mean, he's been absolutely superb, and he obviously got a sack as well against the Bills. And there's that element that we saw how the Texans, you mentioned there, Texans defense got to the Patriots and Drake May. I mean, Will Anderson got 3 sacks, 2 sacks as well from Daniel Hunter. Does that worry you, that if May does have an off day, if his defense can pick up, can win that turnover battle, can capitalize on his mistakes and get a pick six, or get a fumble recovered into field goal range? Does that worry you, the fact that I don't think May's been perfect in the playoff? I think he's not been quite as good as he was in the regular season. Does that defense, that has to be surely for you the biggest concern going into this game?
Look, you can't look at Drake May in the regular season and Drake May in the offseason and say that he's carried the same level of performance, because he hasn't. Now, you're playing a better caliber defense consistently. It's different situation. We all understand that. But I mean, May on the offense at large, has been more of a weakness in the last 2 games than we expected. I mean, the way the last 2 games were supposed to go is that the Patriots were supposed to be able to score 30-plus points, and the defense was supposed to let us down. And it's been the exact opposite. The defense has shown up and has been locked down in every situation, managed to get a pick 6 against CJ Stroud. But the offense has been struggling to get the second option, because what Josh McDaniels does very well is he has a deep wide receiver as the main option, but he always has a running back just maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of May to give him the second option. Defenses are reading that and shutting it down pretty well. The offensive line, particularly on the left-hand side, Will Campbell's side, was absolutely tore through by Will Anderson and the rest of the Houston defense consistently. It was a miracle that May didn't give up more turnovers and that he wasn't hit more. Either just through, obviously there was a situation where he had the ball underneath and he let it slip, which was, I think, there's a poor decision to run into where all the players are instead of away, which is what he's normally done over the course of the season, and then subsequently we did later in the game. So it's definitely, talk about where are the momentum swings, because the Patriots, even though they were winning, they didn't really have much momentum going with them offensively speaking until that shot to Kayshon Boutte, which put them up 28-16 in the fourth quarter. Until then, it was a close game, and you're just waiting for Houston to have one good offensive drive, because the Patriots offense had only scored 14 points themselves. There was a defensive touchdown, obviously helping the Patriots on the scoreboard. But we're not for the fact that so many turnovers given up by Houston. Patriots offense weren't creating anything themselves. What are you looking at here in Denver? You're away. You're against a defense who's very good at bursting to the offensive line. They're pressure heavy. They get turnovers a lot. They don't give your wide receivers a lot of space. Your wide receivers are going to have to be very physical and actually catching the ball themselves. So something Stephon Diggs did very good against Houston. But it also means that something goes, there's a tiny bit of skew, and that ball is in the other team's hands. And it's going to be very, very tough for Drake May to figure out. And this is the thing. Like, what is Denver's hope for this game so they can get to the Super Bowl? They're hoping for a pick six. They're hoping for short fields. They're hoping for Drake May to just completely lose confidence early in the game and feel like the momentum just cannot be brought back, because this isn't Caleb Williams who can magical a fourth quarter comeback. The Patriots don't do that. There's always a mix in terms of the quality of the offense over the course of 4 quarters of football, and there is a potential, and I'm worried that May might just let himself be caught under pressure too much. However, the only thing I'm hopeful for is that because of the offensive line, especially Will Campbell, we're so torn up against Houston over the course of the week that problems there are fixed and back to the level they were earlier in the regular season when players are a bit more fit. And as well as that, Matt Collins is due to be back in rotation for the Patriots as well, which is another tall, physical type receiver I think you need against Denver. So I'm still confident, but again, part of the victory for Denver is through picking the ball off and picking it early and frustrating the Patriots offense early, and they have the defense good enough to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think we have to look at, we've seen these games happen where I think we saw a bit of it. We saw that in the Broncos-Texans game. The Patriots-Texans game was that you saw both quarterbacks having a bit of trouble, both defense having success. In the game, you think about the Patriots game in particular. You think about I mentioned Daniil Hunter and obviously Will Anderson had some great moments. But you think about Al Shahir as well got involved and he caused some problems. But then on the flip side, we saw Carlton Davis make some plays against Texans. So I think both defenses will have moments where they'll look to try and win the game. But I think the difference is which quarterback I think personally will make the most errors. And I think you've got to hope for. I think you've got to expect that it will be Jarrett Stidham, because he's inexperienced. He's Drake May's having an MVP year, and Drake May has got a lot more recent experience playing, whereas Jarrett Stidham hasn't played for a while now. So this is I think the defensive battle. I think the quarterback battle. I think it'll take a lot for me. I think to see the quarterbacks battle be won by Jarrett Stidham. I think the run game, Ramondre Stevenson has put up more impressive tape than our Harvey this year. Although Harvey did make a great play in overtime to make it in field goal range for the Broncos, but I think Stevenson I'd back more at the moment. You think of the receiver room, obviously with I think Diggs or Booty or Pop Douglas. I think there's such a nice blend of receivers there. I think the Patriots win that as well. But I think that the defense will be where if the Broncos can just, as you said, get the pick sixes or get just basically whenever they get a turnover, whenever they get a defensive play and they get the ball back, just make the most. Don't be. Some teams will get the ball from an interception or fumble and you won't do anything with it. If they're going to want to win this game, they're going to have to just capitalize on anything they can get, any turnover. And I think that for me is probably the key for them to win the game, because I don't think there's on offense many ways they're going to outdo the Patriots.
But here's the other thing on offense. I mean, Stiddy, as we should really be calling him. That's why Sean Payton refers to Stidham. Stiddy, he's the guy. Like, the problem with him isn't necessarily that he'll make mistakes or turn the ball over. I think the problem is that he'll just be ineffective enough that the Broncos keep having to punt the ball, and that will keep their defense on the field. I mean, we talk about, like, Sean Payton was very interesting in the mid-game sideline interview that he took from the CBS guys, and they were like, well, listen, what impact does having the week off as an once he come into this? And he goes, well, it doesn't make a difference in the first half. It does in the second. And I have to remember Denver playing at home. They've had an extra day's rest compared to New England, who are coming, flying on the Saturday to play at altitude on Sunday in Denver. So, like it would be a big disadvantage for Denver if their defense just got tired early because they had to be on the field constantly. So that's the big thing for me. Not necessarily turnovers, but where are they getting 3rd and 3s? Where are they getting first downs consistently enough? Can they put up a drive that keeps them on the field for 7 minutes time of possession in quarter 2? Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing which gives you more confidence that the Patriots can control this game early. I was looking at Sean Payton will design a game plan almost designed to try and maximize what he's able to do, but keep it fairly spill free. I don't think we're going to see too many ridiculous deep shots or turnover worthy plays like we saw from CJ Stroud last week. CJ Stroud got picked off 4 times, could have been picked off 8. So many turnover worthy passes. I don't think we're going to see that kind of thing. But it's keeping the Denver defense off the field. I think is going to be the issue for Stidham.
Do you think as well that you think about kind of both head coaches that are involved in this game? You've got Sean Payton, Mike Vrabel. And do you think that in terms of experience in these moments? Because I know Payton's only won one championship game, but do you think that? Because we see head coaches all the time when they get to these moments they've not been in often before, they kind of sometimes try and overcomplicate things. Although we see Mike Vrabel go for 4th downs in the game against the Texans, but do you think that could play a part in it in terms of? I think Mike Vrabel is for me one of the best coaches in the league. I think he was wrongly taken out of Tennessee. I think that they did wrong by getting rid of him there. But do you think that the fact that Payton's been in the league a lot longer as a coach, that is, do you think there's always that? Because I think we saw Mike Vrabel in London many years ago try 2-point conversion to win the game, and in regular time didn't work out for him. Do you think that plays a part, coaching experience in the playoff moments with Sean Payton's CV in the playoff, or at least, copy of work compared to Mike Vrabel's in these moments in the playoffs?
We have to remember Sean Payton has won a championship game and won a Super Bowl, whereas Mike Vrabel has been to the AFC Championship but didn't win it. So in terms of the experience, it's different. But I think it's almost Vrabel's playing experience which counts here as much as his coaching experience, because he's played for the Patriots in moments like this. He knows what it means. He knows the difference, and he's really gotten the tone right in terms of culturally what to say to his players to get the most out of them at the right time. And a lot of it is being just chip on their shoulders stuff by people talking about how weak the schedule is and just trying to beat what's in front of them. And that's just how they keep going, regardless of what they're facing against. But Sean Payton, it's not necessarily experience, it's genius that makes the difference here. But the problem is, he's hits his wagon so much to Bo Nix in terms of, that's his project quarterback. They got rid of Russell Wilson for him. And he wanted a project to be in his own image in terms of quarterback play. And he doesn't have that now in the biggest game of his career as a Denver Broncos head coach. The real experience is actually going to come from Josh McDaniels, former Denver Broncos head coach, let's not forget. He, as an offensive coordinator in New England, has a remarkable record when it comes to play calling, play design. But as well as that, he wants revenge because he's been here to Mile High twice in the AFC Championship game and lost both times to Peyton Manning in those games I may have talked about in the mid-2010s. So that's actually what I think could be the real difference maker here, because of how well he's worked with the team, because of what he gets out of his players. But I think just the tactical news that keeps something in the back pocket. We look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Why are they successful? When they get into the playoffs, there's something which you haven't seen from them before at all that they pull out at the exact right time. I think Josh McDaniels is the kind of guy who will have an offensive play for that kind of moment.
Well, let's get into our predictions. And I will let you go first, as you are the fan involved in this game. Who wins it for you?
I mean, my heart would obviously go for the Patriots, and my head last week said Houston. And look, the way that game went, it was a frustrating watch for a New England fan. More frustrating for Houston, obviously. But frustrating watch for New England is to not make hay when you get your opportunities. That's going to be key for New England. I think there's a very good chance that this is like a 6-3 game at halftime. But New England pull away in the second half. So for that reason, I'm going to guess the score at New England winning by a score of 14 points to 10.
Interesting. Well, I've gone for the Patriots as well. I've gone for a bit more of a one side of the fair prediction. I've gone for a a 23-7 win for the Patriots. I just don't believe, and
I'll take it.
I bet you would. Yeah, I would take just a playoff win, let alone this game. But I just think that I would love to believe. And I did a video where we could be seeing a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles 2.0. I don't see. I don't see a way Jarrett Stidham has had enough time to work with the receivers. I don't see a way that he is going to get. I don't think, because Nick Foles had moments previously in his career. You think about, there was a game, I want to say he had 6 or 7 touchdowns in a game years ago for the Eagles in his first time there. He had a good body of work, whereas Jarrett Stidham's career so far, he hasn't really had the chance. Really, he's talked the talk about wanting more opportunities. This is now his chance to do that. But I don't believe his body of work. I don't believe there's enough talent there to make me think, oh, he's going to go and shock everyone. I think the Broncos defense is going to cause some problems to the Patriots. But if Stidham keeps giving the ball back to the Patriots, they're going to tire out the defense, and I think that's where it's going to cause problems. So I would be shocked if I wouldn't be shocked if it's a tight win for the Patriots. But I just think the way the Patriots have been, even though they have had by far the easiest ever route to a Super Bowl, I do believe that they are going to win this game.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. And yeah, I mean, look, I might as well say my prediction now. Whoever wins this game is going to get beaten in the Super Bowl. Because the Rams and the Seahawks are by far the 2 best teams in the NFL. So enjoy while it lasts, whoever wins this game, because and I just hope for a good spectacle. I'm expecting actually the first 10 plays from Denver to be highly scripted and well executed. But then as the further they get on, the Patriots might get more ground.
I agree. I would love to sit here and say that we're going to see Denver Broncos maybe lead at halftime and maybe be in line for a shock win and eventually, but I don't see it personally. I think depends. If the Broncos get the ball first and they can get something on the board, like a field goal or touchdown, I think then you can think, okay, but if they start the game off punting it away in a Patriots score, or even worse, a pick six, I think that's a hard one to come back from. So for me personally, yeah, I would love to back the Broncos more, because I did back the Patriots to lose that game against Texans, but I don't believe that there's a way personally. But I mean, the home advantage is the one thing I think the altitude potentially could ruffle some feathers within the Patriots locker room. But I think playing in Boston, they're used to quite extreme weather conditions. So for me, I don't see it personally. I don't see a way that the Broncos win this game.
Yeah. So look, it'll be interesting. I hope you got your somewhere comfy to watch it.
Oh yeah, I'll be there in my flat in Cardiff Bay, watching the game, and I'm hoping and wearing anything orange I can have in the house and try and bring some luck to this Denver team.
But see, this is the thing, right? I know obviously you're a Dolphins fan, and you obviously don't something about the Patriots being back here. But like, surely having Drake May in a Super Bowl is a better thing for us media to cover than whatever the Broncos are going to do. I think we're doing God's work, really. But I think actually we are the better, the team that America should want to win. We really are, especially after such a long drought. We haven't won a Super Bowl since 2019. It's been so long. It's been so ridiculously long.
You know what? I did think about that, actually. I did think about, first of all, that is an incredible statement to make. I mean, I've seen the Eagles have more playoff wins in 1 year than I've seen playoff appearances for my team. And some teams have never made the Super Bowl, let alone won it. So I think that's just, I would love to be in that position to be saying something like that. But I did think about it, actually. It probably is a better game if the Patriots win. If I'm honest, it's probably a better game if the Bills had beaten the Broncos like they should have with that catch I wasn't given a catch. I think if the Bills had won this game, it'd been a better AFC game. First of all, I think Bills Pats, AFC's rivals, AFC Championship, that would have been for a neutral, an NFL fan, that would have been the better outcome with how it went down after the game with Bo Nix. I think if Bo Nix was playing, I think it'd be a different. I'd probably be backing the Broncos to win this game if Bo Nix was playing. But I do think, yeah, if we get Jarrett Stidham against this Seahawks defense, oh my goodness. Then if he beats the Patriots, then he's obviously got something going for him. So he might put up a fight against the Rams or Seahawks. But I think for a game.
As a UK person, by the way, you should be supporting Broncos Rams because they're two teams who played in London, so two teams you've already seen live. It's also the only matchup I think where it wouldn't be a rematch. Obviously, Patriots Rams it'd be the third time they face. Patriots Seahawks played each other in Super Bowl 49, and Broncos Seahawks played each other in Super Bowl 48. So if you want something new, I guess there's an angle for you. But otherwise, we're really doing God's work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get the thing you'll get with Patriots Seahawks is not only for the Seahawks are you getting a team that potentially could beat two of their division rivals to then win a Super Bowl in the stadium of one of their biggest rivals, if not their biggest rivals, but also it's the talking point. I guarantee will be the Malcolm Butler interception. I guarantee that will be the main narrative around the game. Can the Seahawks get revenge on the Patriots for that game? They'll show the Richard Sherman reaction on the sideline. They'll show Pete Carroll going, "Oh no," on the sideline after Wilson throws it to Malcolm Butler. I think that will be the story of that game will be around that game. I guarantee it. That will be the main talking point, the main narrative around the game.
Yeah, it's funny because you're talking about how like Ben, who is on the Irish NFL show, Seahawks fan. I always told him that I'll just be saying the name Malcolm Butler like 20 times in San Francisco if that is the case, which will backfire on me eventually. But I mean, I have to try and enjoy it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably enjoy the whole week building up. You can enjoy maybe at a stretch the first quarter, but I think as soon as it gets to that, I think that Bad Bunny halftime show is going to be, potentially, a different story. But you could get, Stephon Diggs, obviously playing the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny, one of his well-known songs features Cardi B. You could get Cardi B on the show at halftime as well. In terms of Patriots player involved in the game, Cardi B obviously, has got a child.
I haven't even thought about that. It's amazing. That's way better than all this Taylor Swift halftime talk. I'd much prefer that. That'd be great crack.
I mean, what are your thoughts on the halftime show? Because I personally don't know any of the songs apart from that one with Cardi B, and obviously I don't.
I know. There's three things I like about it. I like Bad Bunny anyway. I like a bit of Latin beats. I like the fact that it's something completely different. I like the fact that it annoys the right people. Because what do you mean that you got a Super Bowl halftime show in Spanish? We're America. I was like, well, yeah, many people speak Spanish as English. Like, just enjoy the show. It's going to be a great spectacle. It's probably going to have more viewers, than a lot of halftime shows we put on. I mean, remember like when Maroon 5 did it a few years ago? Like shocking stuff. Like we've had some shocking Super Bowl halftime shows. Let's be fair about this. Nothing beats, by the way, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and all the rest in LA a few years ago. That was the best. But I'm looking forward to this one. I really am.
And you get Green Day prior to the game as well, which I think is, for me personally, is way more exciting than a lot of the halftime shows we've had in the last few years.
Yeah. I don't know how much stuff to do pre-game. Is that like on TV or did they just like sing the national anthem, but it's just American Idiot instead? I don't know how that works.
Apparently, they're bringing on those old former Super Bowl MVPs, which I'm guessing they'll play "Time of Your Life" when that happens. I guarantee that'll be what they play.
So they have Julian Edelman, who's originally from Northern California, so he'll be there. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other guys. John Elway, will he be knocking about? Was he a Super Bowl MVP?
He must have done in one of those two ones. He must have done it one of them, I'm sure. Whether it was the Falcons win or whether it was the Packers he beat as well as the Falcons. But no, I think you'll get Tom Brady, I imagine. Probably you'll be there.
Eli Manning, don't remember that one. Don't want to remember that one. John Elway, yeah, he was in Super Bowl 33. The MVP was Terrell Davis the year beforehand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Steve Young, of course, we'll be knocking about. And Joe Montana. Yeah, good to have both of those guys in the same field again, huh? And Jerry Rice. Phil Simms, always a good guy.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp. Oh, he could be playing in the game. Cooper Kupp.
Is Jake Scott or Larry Kasonka? Is that how you pronounce that?
Larry Zonke, yeah. Larry Zonke. He's still rocking, That would be cool. I think
the idea of having Joe name it, that'd be great. That's what I really want to see. Broadway Joe?
Just don't give him the mic.
I don't know. I think you should. Just for the crack. Just go mad.
I mean, that one clip you've got where he's obviously vaguely drunk when he's telling the producer he wants to kiss her. That in terms of awkward watches, that is definitely up there.
Yeah, great content though, right? Probably not.
Well, for TikTok age, yeah, I think that'd be quite for TikTok era. That'd be quite a good watch. Before we go, I want to ask you. I've been trying to build up to this. The run to the Super Bowl for the Patriots. I've got to ask: is this the easiest run in history? Because I looked at all the fixtures this year. You played 14 different opponents with a combined record in the regular season of 91 and 147. That is roughly a 6-11 season for that team. Those 14 games. Also, if you look at next year's draft picks, out of the five first picks, 4 of those teams played the Patriots last year. 7 of the first 10 teams picking played the Patriots this season. 11 of the first 15. Only 3 of the opponents the Patriots played made the playoffs. Only 2 of those had winning records. You think about the playoffs, less so because the defense had a good part to play, but you had 2 quarterbacks who did SH1T the bed, and you think about then you go into a game like this where you've got the backup quarterback. I just personally can't. You think about years gone by, Brady going into Arrowhead beating a young and upcoming Mahomes. You think about the Bengals coming back from 20 points down against the Chiefs. You think about many of these runs. You have these tough moments, and the Patriots for me. I just can't. I mean, I'm a younger fan. Been watching it 14 years. There's probably ones from the 80s and 70s that maybe are easier. But in my lifetime watching it, I can't think of an easier run to Super Bowl, if you win, that is, on Sunday, than this season for the Patriots.
Well, the Greatest Show on Turf is the only team that has had an easier strength of schedule than this current squad. But they did win the Super Bowl, and they were just an exceptional squad. And people didn't really take away from it then. Look, I said at the end of the regular season that any honest analysis of the Patriots season has to be put in with the caveat of the opponents they face and just the situations that they've played in. But at the same time, they went into Buffalo and won. They went into Baltimore in a game that was really coming away from them and managed to find a way to stick it out. So it's not like they've been completely without adversity. To me, I think the question marks around the strength of schedule have evaporated by virtue of the fact that they've had to play 2 ridiculously difficult and talented defenses at the right side. You can talk about CJ Stroud shitting the bed. That's the Patriots defense put so much pressure on him. Had the game plan which worked quite well against CJ Stroud weaknesses, which comes to folding in the cold once he's under pressure. Because there was plenty of room for to make use of, but he just didn't have enough time to deal with it. So, look, again, this Denver defense is so good that if the Patriots go in and put in a good performance, the question marks around the strength of schedule to start evaporating a little bit. And who knows what happens in the Super Bowl? Should the Patriots be there? But yeah, look, obviously, I mean, the record, which meant that the Patriots had a 2 seed in the first place, was probably inflated a little bit by the fact that they have a very easy schedule. But the winning against the Bills meant that winning the AFC East was within our grasp and within our control. The one that we got in week 5. So I think that's the one that has set the tone for the season. And it's not as if things have been inconsistent either. Everything that they've played has been a consistent run of wins, and for the most part, quite dominant wins. It's not like they've been only getting 1-point wins against the Jets. Things have been pretty solid. And by the way, have you seen our schedule for next year? Nobody's going to be giving up with the Patriots' strength schedule for next year. Our home opponents are the Bills, Broncos, Packers, Raiders, who have beaten us at home this year, Dolphins, Vikings, Jets, and Steelers, who beat us at home this year. And our away opponents are Bills, the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs, the LA Chargers, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And there's not an easy game in there, apart from the 2 games against the Jets. So yeah, next year that conversation is going to be a hell of a lot different.
That is, you talk about the word Super Bowl hangover, whether it's a team that loses it or the team that wins it. If you make the Super Bowl, and either way, I mean that'll be the narrative around it. I mean that is a tough schedule, but But I think as well, if you go and beat the Rams, if you beat the Broncos and you beat the Rams or Seahawks, I think that would all my chat would be completely gone. If you go and beat because you said, well, they are the best two teams left. And I think there's a bigger gap between the second best team in the playoffs and the third best team left in the playoffs than there is from the second to the first. I think that those two are night and day clear of everyone else that are left. But either way, I think actually if the Rams do win as well, May against Stafford MVP talk, that would be the kind of the perfect way to end it. And you mentioned then the Chiefs on the road. You did, of course, go to Arrowhead earlier this year on behalf of the Irish NFL show, a stadium that I've talked about how much I enjoyed my experience going there and how it was by far the best atmosphere I've experienced. How was your experience at Arrowhead? You were in the press box as well, so you weren't in there in the cold. You were there in a nice warm. I'm assuming free food as well was given to you.
No, this is the thing. I don't like it's such a first world whinge, but I prefer being in the stadium with the crowd because you're in there and we got. I was in a bunch of other international media, so I was going as a member of the newspaper, and there were other newspapers there from Spain and Germany, and we were given a tour of the stadium and all this, and we got to speak to team president Mark Donovan, and we go out there and we get to see and just hear the noise, and we talk about the fact it's the loudest outdoor stadium in the world, and God, you hear it. I mean, they're so on top of you. I mean, it's going to be an amazing sight when the FIFA World Cup comes there this summer. Fingers crossed that's still happening in America. The way things are going now, but the way that the stands are above you, the noise is amazing, and then you end up getting put up the lift to the 7th floor, and you're behind soundproof glass, so you can barely hear anything. It's a bizarre experience. But in terms of the actual stadium itself, like it's been the top of my bucket list to go and see was Arrowhead Stadium. I love that place. I love the color. I love the tailgating. I love just how old fashioned it feels, but in a way that doesn't feel out of date, if that makes sense. But I just love the architecture, how steep it is, how the back row is really, really close to the pitch. There isn't this sort of offset in the stand, which makes you feel like you're miles away. It feels smaller than it looks on TV. It's going to be sad when they leave for the state of Kansas. Not something which I want to see in the league is Arrowhead Stadium being taken out of it, regardless of what they replace it with. Probably there's going to be some other stadium with, the same kind of dome technology we see in Vegas. But yeah, no, pretty amazing. I was there when the Chiefs bet the Raiders 31-0, which is the one really, really good game they played. And I thought that they were back. This is the moment where I was like, this is it. The Chiefs are back in business now. Because they'd run 3 home games, I think, in October. To sort of get themselves right after losing to the Jags earlier in the season. But sure, that's not how it worked out. It means that we didn't have to face against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I think they're saying it's the first time since 1999 there's been no Tom Brady, Manning, or Mahomes in the playoffs, which is, it'll be the second Super Bowl I've watched in full, not just the highlights or some of the game, where it doesn't involve, Mahomes or Brady. The first Super Bowl I watched in full from start to finish was Patriots Falcons, and ever since then it's always been Mahomes or Brady, apart from the 1 year Burrow made it. So it's a nice change, but we are once again, I think it's the 15th year in a row we are seeing either the Chiefs or the Patriots in the AFC Championship. That for me is
2010 between the Steelers and the Jets was the last time. Wow, 2010, 2011, I think was that season. Yeah, it's a crazy run. Like people baying for the death of the Chiefs, and they get us back, and we're back, baby. We're back.
Oh, for a soul. I don't know what's more crazy: the fact that it's been that long since neither team's been involved, or the fact the Jets were in the AFC Championship game. That for those,
that's how long ago it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like they were actually good at one point. Back-to-back AFC Championship games as well. But there we are. That is the end of our AFC Championship preview. So Shane, once again, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the games, and I'll see you in San Francisco.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you there. I think I'll be seeing you next, probably outside of prison, which is not something I think ever expected to say to you.
The way you said that, you're right, yeah, completely. Hello. Whether it be Alcatraz or like some other penitentiary like Folsom Prison, I'm not quite sure.
Well, I'm sure we'll probably bump in the sky there as well. I'll be on some crazy night out and you'll end up in a prison in the morning.
He's not dragging me down with him. He can go to prison. I'm not bailing him out.
But there we are. That is the end of the show. This has been the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I have been, as ever, your host today, Andy David, with our guest in Shane Brennan. And we'll see you guys for our NFC Championship preview. See you then.